Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the PDS podcast. In today's episode, we'll be chatting with our guest about NFTs, photography, and of course, storm chasing. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Miracle Dent Repair. We'll hear more about them a little later in the show. Also, if you're watching us live right now, just remember that this is the raw and uncut version of the podcast, which means you may see or hear some things that don't make it into the final episode. Also, during the break, you will have an opportunity to ask today's guest some questions of your own. So please make sure to send them to us in the comments. And one more thing, you may notice my intro for today's episode has been pre-recorded. And the reason for that is because I had another oral surgery yesterday and my speech has been affected during the healing process. Luckily, our good friend Shannon Bileski has agreed to step up to the plate and co-host today's episode for me. So thank you, Shannon. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Shannon.
Hey.
So tonight our special guest is Jessica Moore. Jessica is a meteorologist, full-time storm photographer, and NFT artist based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Jessica has been photographing storms for over 10 years and loves capturing the massive structure shocks from a distance, but also enjoys the up-close and intense moments with tornadoes. Welcome to the show, Jessica. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
So,
so much, Curtis.
Can we call you Jess or Jessica?
Yeah, just call me Jess. That's perfect.
Okay, because I'm going to, and I didn't want to insult you.
No insult.
Perfect. So in that intro there, we talked a little bit about NFTs, and from what we've seen, you're one of the many storm chasers who's recently gotten involved in NFTs, and I'm sure many of our listeners are asking, what the hell is an NFT right now? So if you wouldn't mind, could you give us a little insight into them and basically start with what is an NFT?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So essentially an NFT, if you don't already know, it stands for a non-fungible token. So in the context of the blockchain, it essentially is, a digital asset that can be transferred. It's minted directly onto the blockchain. And in my case, I use Ethereum as my blockchain, but there's others like Tezos, where you can mint your NFTs, which in our case is storm photographs and other types of photography and other art, of course. And you basically mint it onto the blockchain, and then it's forever imprinted on the blockchain. So no matter how many times down the road it gets resold and things like that, you are forever traced as the original creator of that art. So it's essentially like you can think of it as like a digital ledger that's keeping track of your art and where it goes, and it's sort of just its path through the blockchain. So it's really a great way to authenticate your ownership of your art, and it's just really a fascinating new technology, and it's been really exciting to kind of be there from the very early stages of this NFT kind of journey for photographers. At least NFTs have been around for a few years, but for photography, that was kind of a newer thing that really didn't get kicked off until like March, April last year, and then really got big over the summer of last year. So we've just seen tremendous growth with all types of photography and art, all different forms of art and NFTs. And storm photography, initially, there was really just no market for it. But storm photographers like myself, Dreadlock Traveler, Shannon, and others, we've just been like working really hard to like kind of pave the way for more and more storm photographers to enter the NFT scene and start to just, share their art, their storm art. And I think it's just been really exciting to be a part of that journey, because I think a lot of people before NFTs didn't really think of storm photography as art. Like they didn't really think of storms as art, but we're showing why there's so much beauty in storms through this platform. And I never imagined, that my photography journey would lead me here per se. I wasn't really interested in crypto before all this NFT stuff, but man, it's just been life altering to be able to share storm photography really with the world through NFTs.
So I understood every single word that you said, but I have no clue what it all means. So what's a blockchain? What is all this stuff? Like it seems. Yeah, I don't get it. I know you and Shannon are both into it, so maybe you two can educate me.
It's super obscure, but again, like I think the easiest thing for people to latch onto is thinking of a blockchain as a digital ledger. So anything that helps you keep track of transactions, only this is done through a blockchain. And it's kind of coding heavy. So like you can literally go into this is probably just going to confuse people more, but like there's very technical ways that you can go into, look at the contracts that are, that you're utilizing via the different platforms like Foundation and OpenSea and SuperRare. You can look at the platform, or you can look at the contracts and the coding behind all of that, and just trace the, basically trace the ownership of your NFT. So again, like I said, it's just a ledger that keeps track of your NFT wherever it goes across the whole, the whole platform.
And I think too, one thing that I can kind of interject into that is that it's visible to everybody. So it's kind of like a bank account. Like the three of us have bank accounts and we're making, I give Jessica $10, she gives you $5. All of that is on the blockchain and visible to anybody and everybody who wants to see it.
Okay, so you need to have an OpenSea or Foundation account, and then you can access that stuff to see what's happening.
I mean, you don't need to have an account to really see it. It's all tracked through something called Etherscan, and there's other ways to track it, but that's getting into the really technical stuff. But but yes, in theory, like once you're really embedded in any of these platforms, you can track basically the digital history of any token. I mean, basically any piece of art that you mint becomes a token, and so every time that token changes hands, you can track that on the blockchain and through that digital ledger. So you can just see its progression through the ledger, through the blockchain.
Okay. What made you become interested in them, or how did you become interested or start with it all?
To be honest, unfortunately, I really had some serious health issues develop for me last year. And I realized that I was going to have to find some creative alternative income streams that were outside of your traditional, 8 to 5 standard job. I had graduated with my degree last year, so or in like late 2020, and so 2021, early 2021, I had hoped that I would start like a traditional path, into meteorology or even do grad school. But health, my health just really deteriorated at that time, and I realized I needed to find something more accommodating basically to my needs. So I did a lot of research. I was looking around. I was kind of really lost for a couple months there. And then I started to get wind of, I think the very first person I heard about NFTs from was Rob. I can't believe I'm blanking his last name right now. Shannon, not Rob Hall, anyway, really great photographer who, first mentioned NFTs, and I started looking more into it, and I was like, totally like you, Curtis. I was initially like, this is so far over my head. I have
like,
no
what
idea.
is happening here?
What is happening? This seems like a different universe, and honestly, it is. It's so crazy, but I just like dove headfirst into this NFT space, and I started listening to all the Twitter spaces and just joining in and like just being a sponge, soaking up every bit of knowledge that I could get about NFTs. And then I finally just like I dove in and I started minting, basically sharing my my Storm images, and it took several months for my work to really kind of take off. So it was rough in the beginning. I mean, I won't lie, it was a real big challenge, but it's just the type of space where like really jumping in one Twitter space, making one connection, having one retweet with the right eyes that see it at that moment can change the entire game for you and change the whole trajectory of your path. That's a hard word.
The tongue twister.
It is a little bit, yeah. And that's really what it was for me. I mean, it just took, I connected with a really big collector, and we became, really good friends. And he saw everything that I was doing and how hard I work and my passion for everything, and just fully invested in me. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and it's just been the most incredible journey. It's been pretty life altering, really, to monetize. I never would have thought in a million years I could monetize my storm photography, because in storm chasing we typically think of the money making, typically, at least historically, has been through through video sales, ENG sales. But that's kind of becoming more and more a thing of the past as these networks have more access to like free content online that they get from like just your random person with an iPhone, right?
Everyone has a smartphone and everyone's recording everything.
Everyone's recording it, right? So the days where you could make a sustainable income from ENG sales from selling video, I don't want to say they're completely gone, but it is very, very hard to find sustainable income through that. So this is crazy to me to see this evolution where like I always felt like kind of a weirdo, like being like one of the few people I felt like that was just taking storm photos and not really doing video. But like now it's like, okay, I finally have this place where my storm photography, like I feel valued. Like I feel like my work is valued and appreciated, and like, and I'm making money from it. It's like my full-time job, and it has been since June of last year. So it's just been really, really just incredible, life-changing journey for me. So I'm excited, despite all the challenges of the space, just to have the opportunity.
Awesome. And so can you explain to everybody how you earn money from this? Because I know a lot of people think like it's just in cryptocurrency and you can't pull that money out. And so can you explain some of that and maybe go a little bit more into, because I think you shared last year for your fiscal 2021 what you kind of earned from it, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, it was I don't want to say numbers necessarily, but I did post it publicly. So, I mean, for me, it was the most money I've ever made in a single year from any job. And granted, like for me, a lot of money was, $60K, right? Like I've never made that kind of money in my life. So for me, that was a lot of money. And for all of that to come entirely from photography still blows my freaking mind. Like, so essentially, and I don't expect, like, just full transparency, I don't expect that to be, I never expected that to be even a thing in the first place, but I know I can be fairly certain that won't be the continuing trend. I just had a really fortunate year, a lot of really great success that I'm so grateful for, but I think now the market's a lot more saturated, and it's really, really challenging to set yourself apart. Plus we've got other economic issues and things that we're concerned about. Right. But anyway, that's a side topic.
We are not going down that.
We're not going there. But what I will say is that, anytime you make a sale, like typically, that there's different types of sales. There's like auctions, people can buy it now, or they can do an auction where each person, like different collectors will bid until the highest bidder wins the piece, basically. And then once that sale is made, then that Ethereum or whatever blockchain you're using, that you make whatever that is. So like, if I priced it at 1 Ethereum, then I make whatever the price of 1 Ethereum is for that day. It's like just over 2,600, I think earlier is what I was looking at, but it's been so variable. But as soon as that currency enters your wallet, which, there's different wallets you can use, you can convert that. So you can convert it to fiat or USDC or USD, and then you can cash that out. So it's as soon as you convert it and cash out, then you're essentially, so you have your real money, right? Like, but an important thing that people got to remember is that all of that's taxable income. So it's not like you can't get away from claiming that. It's just any sort of regular income. In fact, I'm basically writing it off as business income, where I'm setting aside basically like 40% of my earnings, which is a lot of freaking money. But
I think up in here in Canada, it's 50%. Like it's just ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Oh, yuck.
Ridiculous. Like what? But I'm also a professional with like the write-offs, because we get a lot of those through storm chasing with our mileage, right? Like we rack up the miles. So if you have an LLC like I do, every business expense related to chasing goes under that. Like that's your write-off, right? So like, like I write off a ton every year. So that's certainly helped. But yeah, that's essentially it. It's definitely not fake money. It's cryptocurrency. Any cryptocurrency can be converted to USDC and cashed out, or whatever your fiat is, and cashed out. So yeah, it's been great. Like I said, it allowed me to quit my other job and quit doing other things and just focus on photography full time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was paying so much attention here. I kind of lost where I was.
Sorry, I get kind of on a roll and then I just like forget to shut up.
No, that's good. I'm trying to learn here, because I really don't understand it. I've tried and I can't grasp it.
Like, honestly, I'm happy to be, seriously, I tell this to everyone, like I'm very swamped, but I'm happy to be a resource to anyone that has more questions about NFTs that go into more complex issues than like we can delve into in a podcast. Cause I'm afraid I'm going to bore everyone, but I could talk NFTs all day. It's just my thing now. So I don't want to bore everyone, but yeah, feel free to reach out. Cause seriously, like any questions, I'm always open.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I found my spot. What does the person who purchases one of your NFTs actually get? Like, what are they buying?
they are buying your NFT, which is the token on the blockchain. Only one of those exists in the case of the one of ones. It's, you look at editions, like, you know, in the fine art world, there you typically think of things like, oh, you know, they have like 7 limited edition prints, or like a single, it's like if you had one, obviously there's only one Mona Lisa, right? So you're owning the original Mona Lisa, except in this case, it's the digital token of it. It's like the digital form. And you can do things like, you know, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around like, but wait, I can't physically hold something in my hand. I don't have something tangible. But they don't realize the value of having that original, that only NFT, because only one person can own that. So I do things like I will gift my collectors prints as long as they spend like, I have like a target
enough to cover it.
Yeah, like basically, like I don't want to lose money, right? But like I find that what I've been doing is just if a collector spends over 1 ETH on any of my prints, I've been basically gifting them a beautiful fine art print, you know, autographed and with a certificate of authenticity and things like that to go with it, and just making it more of like a fully immersive fine art buying experience for them. So not only do they have the NFT, but they also have the print that they can display in their homes. And I feel like it's not required, but it's a nice gesture that collectors tend to appreciate. And not everyone even wants one. Like I have a ton of collectors that I don't even know who they are because they're completely anonymous. I have zero clue who they are, but they've for some reason chosen to invest in me and my art. They do it for different reasons. Like maybe they're hoping to flip it for profit later. Like if my art goes up and up in value, maybe they just really love the art in their gallery and they just wanted the art, or who even knows? Like there's so many theories about why people want to buy your specific NFT. But a lot of it's hoping to flip for profit at some point, and a lot of it's just like collecting for the sake of art because they love the art. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah. And that answered my next question. So.
It totally did. And if you've got any other questions to add in here, Shannon, this was from Jordan and I. We made these ones, and like you obviously have noticed, we don't have a clue about NFTs. So if you've got something a little more...
You could have asked me beforehand. I could have helped you. So I don't want to get into the negative, but... I guess this is my next question, so I'll ask that one. But
go for it.
But what are the downsides to selling and purchasing NFTs?
Yeah, and I'm always happy to answer any questions, no matter how challenging. I think the biggest drawback that people have found have been like the environmental impact of NFTs, specifically those minted on the Ethereum blockchain. You know, it's a little bit it's more than a little bit, but it is energy consumptive. But there are definitely ways to offset it, and there are ways that as we move more towards environmental sustainability of this, especially with Ethereum 2.0, which should be coming out. I think like they originally were going to say like later this year or maybe like early next year, but whenever it does happen, that'll be huge because it'll remove the need for mining, which data mining. So that's like very energy intensive when it comes to processing transactions. So the thing is, even though there is energy consumption with it, on the grand scheme of energy consumption as a whole, it's just like a sliver, of the big picture of energy consumption. Is it ideal? No, it's certainly not, but it's not quite the doomsday scenario that a lot of the catchy, attention grabbing headlines make it out to be. And I have plenty of resources that I'm happy to like share with people that get into the numbers. I don't have those handy, so I can't give them to you, but there's I would say that's probably the biggest downside, and it's a valid one. Like it's completely valid, but the thing is, we all drive our cars to work every day. We all use our smartphones. We all use electronics. We all, I shouldn't say we all, but a lot of us consume, meat and agriculture. There's a lot of things that we do every single day that contribute to the carbon footprint that we all, should be more, mindful of. So there's certainly ways that we can minimize our carbon footprint, right? And chasing, that's a big one. Like think how many miles we drive every year storm chasing. That's a carbon footprint right there. Like, and none of us want to think about it, but it's true, right? So I don't want to say that it makes it okay necessarily. It's just that it's not quite the doomsday scenario it is made out to be. And it's also moving towards becoming more environmentally conscious as we move towards ETH 2.0, which again should be coming out like fairly in the very near distant future. So I'm excited for that.
And I think too with NFTs, it's NFTs is a very small percentage of the data mining that goes on. A lot of that is transactions for cryptocurrency itself. Exactly. And that's where kind of the bad reputation comes in, right? Like exactly. Bitcoin and other things, right? Exactly. So NFTs are a small percentage of that.
Yeah, it's such a fraction. And again, yeah, like, yeah, you could make that argument that, okay, there's still an impact, but it's minuscule in comparison to the big picture. And it's just something that, again, I think is just going to improve over time as we move towards, ETH 2.0. So that's the biggest thing. And, I really researched that a lot in the beginning because it is an important issue to me. And I really did want to become educated in all of that. And I consistently look for ways to offset my carbon footprint when I do make sales. I donate 10% of every single purchase to Give Back to Nature, which actually works with two different organizations that do basically help with reforestation and plastic cleanup. So it's like, it's just kind of a way that I'm able to offset some of my carbon footprint. And it's honestly, it's more than I've ever been able to donate ever really to anything like that before. So it's still like, honestly, in my opinion, it's a net positive because I'm giving so much back, I think, to helping with the restoration of forests and plastic cleanup and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Awesome. So who can purchase NFTs?
Literally anyone that has a MetaMask wallet. If you're using Ethereum, there's different wallets. They're basically just Chrome extensions that you install on your computer, and like you it's a whole thing. You just get it all set up, and then as soon as you have that wallet and a little bit of Ethereum in there, or however much the cost of that NFT is, literally anyone can buy it. And I think some platforms are even moving towards allowing transactions to be conducted even with a credit card, so that you don't have to even use cryptocurrency. So there are some platforms moving towards that. But as of right now, most platforms traditionally are using, some form of some blockchain like Ethereum or Tezos or Cardano or Solana or whatever.
I feel like you need to do an entire YouTube series explaining this for everyone. Or at least for me. I
mean, God, honestly, if I had the time, I would love to. I just that's the one thing about NFTs in this whole space. It's very time consuming because so much of it is just building the community around you and being involved in Twitter spaces. And it is, honestly, I bet I'm probably putting in 60 hours a week with this gig. But it's still based around my availability and my schedule. So that's the great thing is I still have full flexibility of things, and I can choose when I want to work and things like that. So it gives me full freedom to do that. But it is it is some of these Twitter spaces I've spent legitimately hours in Twitter spaces before. And I think the record longest time I've spent in a freaking Twitter space was, no joke, 6 or 7 hours. And I was like, wow. Wait, I cannot, that's not,
why?
That's not sustainable. It was in the early days. It was in the early days with some big collectors, and we would all just be just
that is an 8-hour freaking meeting.
I know it is literally, but we would all just be shooting the breeze and making connections and just sharing each other's work, and it was super wholesome. But then next thing you know, 6 hours goes by and there's your whole day, and I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing this.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, literally. It's exhausting.
But, yeah, and that's been one of my challenges in that space is, I work full time. I can't spend that much time in there, and that's sometimes what it takes in order to get some visibility and make those connections, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what burns a lot of people out of NFTs is, I mean, there aren't a lot of folks that can really invest that kind of time and energy into the space. And so they get burned out when they're not getting sales, and they, I see it happen a lot, and it really bums me out. But it's not about your work. It's really not. And I think that's the biggest frustration I have with the space is that I wish it was more about truly the quality of the art. And I'm not saying it's not sometimes, but the more about the quality of the art than your actual presence and status and visibility in the space. It's undeniable that there's certainly a certain amount of, popularity contests, things like that. But and again, not to get into the negative, but I just think having a healthy expectation of what the time commitment requires is important, because it can burn you out pretty quick. you gotta take breaks. I mean, Shannon can vouch for this. Like this, it can get overwhelming. So you've got to take breaks. So
Yeah.
So how do NFTs differ from other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and stuff? Because it's all Ethereum from what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the cryptocurrency. I mean, it's part of the blockchain of whatever cryptocurrency that you're minting the NFT on. So it could be Solana, like I said, Tezos, Ethereum, Cardano. There's these different blockchains or different cryptocurrency blockchains. Any of those you can mint an NFT to. So the NFT is different from the blockchain. It's just here. The NFT is it's your art. Here's your art. Your art is the token, because you're minting it whichever blockchain it is. And then and that's the blockchain it stays on permanently until you unless you ever burn it or something like that. But yeah, so it's just it's a whole separate thing.
Okay.
I don't know if that really helped, but I tried.
So the NFT is your product,
yes.
And
yes,
your crypto is your cash.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
Good job.
Look, I'm learning.
You are learning. Good job. Oh, that's great. I love it.
Oh, it's my turn. Sorry. I just got my screen back. So how much are NFTs typically worth?
Oh, God. I mean, geez, it depends. It's such a wide range. It depends on, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of obviously Shannon, but I'm sure, I don't know, maybe Curtis, maybe you've seen they call them the PFPs, which are the profile pics, or it's essentially things like the Bored Apes, the CryptoPunks, the things that sell for six figures, millions of dollars, just insane amounts of money. But then you have this I shouldn't say little, but this huge dichotomy between those. And then your one of one art, which is your photography, your digital art, your things like that, where those are typically priced. I mean, it just so depends. If you're brand new to the scene, you're typically minting for I don't know, somewhere between 0.1 and 0.25 if you're doing a collection or things like that. If you're a very well established artist, you can start to justify higher prices, 1, 2 Ethereum and higher. But it seems very, very hard. Only a very select few artists seem to make it to that point where you can literally be charging 20 plus ETH for a single image, and immediately it's getting bids and immediately it's getting snatched up. I could count on maybe one hand the number of photographers that are able to find that kind of success. And and I won't name drop because I don't want to do that, but there's certain photographers that literally can just drop a piece, and it's just the desire, I don't want to say desire, but the demand, that's what I want. The demand for their specific art is so intense that as soon as they mint, it doesn't matter seemingly what it is, it's going to get snatched up. And it's because maybe there's certain things that they're just really high status. They're high on I hate that there's even tiers. That's one thing I don't want to see is tiers of artists. I don't want it to be broken down in tiers. I want us all to have an equal opportunity, but everything's not sunshine and rainbows, right? That's just not the way it always works. But just very few seem to be able to justify those kinds of prices and see them actually realized. So, I mean, we can all hope to get there, but it's just really, really challenging. There seems to be a barrier that most of us can't quite, break through. We're just right there at the surface, right
can't quite get into the mean girl group.
Yeah.
No, we're just sitting over here in the outcast table, but we're inching closer, So, we're sitting there with our lunch boxes and we're looking longingly over there oh,
I've got an extra pudding, I'll share.
Literally, I will share what's a girl got to do around here. I'm just saying oh gosh. I have one piece that's priced at 8 Ethereum, and if I were to sell it, it would pay off my car. And I'm just that's a hard thing that I think messes with people mentally, is seeing the amount of money that's there that can be made and feeling you're so close. And it's life altering for a lot of people. That amount of money is life altering. And especially if you're, used to living in poverty or very low income, things like that, that kind of money within your reach, it messes with you. You're oh my God, I'm so close, yet I can't get there. So anyway, it's just a wild scene, but overall, I just come back to, the art. Like, I've met so many amazing artists, so many amazing people.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been able to take storm photography from being a thing that no one even looked or thought twice about. No one cared about storm photography when I started. Literally, no one was buying it. I think maybe one storm photo ever had sold, or maybe one or two before I joined the scene. And now we've gotten to the point where tons of storm photographers have come in and been able to sell work and become fairly successful and get continue to build up the value of storm photography as a whole. And that, I think, is huge, because I feel like storm photographers for years in the chasing scene have been kind of like overlooked as like, oh, they're just the storm tourists, right? They're just here to take some pretty pictures and then leave and blah blah blah. But now it's like, I feel like maybe that was a little catty. I didn't mean it.
That's perfect. I love it. You're going to get in that mean girl click yet.
Sometimes it's a little bit spicy. I'm sorry. But it's all in good fun. Because really, it's just so nice to see storm photography really, really valued, and see so many people feel validated in the art that they're creating. It's just freaking awesome. Like Shannon, like, God, she's got so many amazing shots that have sold, and I've been happy to see her success too in NFTs. I've had some of my most prized images sell for amounts I never could have imagined. And it's not even so much about that, although it's, as a single mom, like, you got to know that's, for me, it's just so life altering to have that kind of opportunity to break free of some of these chains that, frankly, as a single mom, like, it's just, you live in a lot of poverty. It's just the way it is. There's just a lot of financial hardship. I don't want to say poverty, but financial hardship and struggle. And so being able to break free from that and actually, like, build up a college savings account for my daughter, like 401k for myself, like a Roth IRA for myself. These are things that were never possible for me before NFTs. So I'm like paying off debts. I'm like having these opportunities that I never had before. But even beside all of that, it's truly like the art, the people believing in you and validating you, and seeing your journey as an artist and a storm chaser, and realizing, holy shit, like, what these people
No,
do.
that's good.
What these people do to capture this storm art. It's not just like you just drive up to a pretty storm and take a picture. Like, there's so much to it. And I love that we as storm photographers have been able to really show just the value of the work that we're out there creating, and just how challenging it is just to forecast to even be in the right place in the first place. And then you're navigating around the storm. You have to navigate around the storm in such a certain way that you're getting the shots, the up close shots, the far away shots, like everything. And it's all risky. Like, we all know that, like, lightning strikes, things happen, like, and there's risk involved in all of it. So it's been just really empowering, I think, for all of us as storm photographers to be able to share our art in that way.
Yeah, and the stories too. That's one thing I've enjoyed is, some of our storm stories nights, and hearing, the stories from everybody, and I think you're right too. I think having somebody just reach out, purchase an NFT, and be able to talk with them and find out why did they connect with it, and it's just that feeling that somebody saw you, right? It's something that's personal to you, and you put so much effort into it, and to be able to share that with somebody and somebody feel it, that's amazing.
So amazing. It's just the most great, it's just the most incredible feeling. And then to even take it from there and start to have these NFT exhibitions that I've been going to, and some of us have been fortunate enough to be able to be a part of these collaboration projects with other artists. So now we're working with other artists. We're continuing to just like break the mold, I think, for storm photography, and show what can really be possible out there in the art world for storm photographers, and just challenge what the world perceives as art, I think. And that's just been awesome. It's really been really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I think I'm starting to get a grasp on what's going on here, but what but what stops a person, like, once you sell that digital file, what would stop a photographer from making a few tweaks to it? Or maybe they've got 3 or 4 of the same picture in a row of the same storm. What would stop a person from selling either a duplicate or a modified picture? Like, from what I'm hearing, it's once you've sold that NFT, that's the digital file, and anything, like, any changes you've made to it would be saved in that file. But what would happen if you changed that file and wanted to sell it again? Like, can you
Um,
do that, or is that?
no, see, that's super frowned upon. I mean, basically, they basically decide to trust you. When a collector buys a piece of art from you, they truly, when you say this is a one of one, that means it's truly a one edition of one, meaning there will never be another image exactly like this that's ever duplicated and reminted on the blockchain. So one of one means that's the only one there can be. So again, that's why it's valuable, because
I
it
gotcha.
truly is the only one. If you were to, like, photographer, let's say a photographer minted and sold a storm piece and then decided, well, I'm going to mint and sell another one of the same exact image, then they would basically destroy their whole reputation in an NFT community, and they wouldn't be able to probably sell anything else. But there does come some subtle differences. Like, for example, I've sold 2 different shots of the Imperial Storm. This one, I was like, we're right here. I've sold 2 different shots of that storm, both vastly different perspectives. So there's that far away shot, and then there's like the up close shot where I'm basically in the vault of the storm, looking right into the inflow, like basically right into the updraft. I mean, and it's like right over my head, basically. 2 vastly different perspectives of the same storm, but it's different enough that it's like not seen as like being dishonest. It's like you can mint photos of the same storm as long as they are different, as long as they are not the exact same image with just a slight change. Like, that would just be kind of weird. Like, it would just, you're not being totally honest when you're doing it that way.
Well, and
Like,
that's what I was thinking, but I just wasn't sure how that worked.
it's an accountability thing. You basically have to, the thing about the community is if they see anyone doing shady behavior, weird things, like whether it's whoever it is in the space, like, they typically call it out. So
Good.
it's like I said, everything's transparent. So you full transparency of every transaction, everything you ever do. If anyone ever wanted to research and see, that, I feel like I've seen that NFT before somewhere else, and then go and say, like, let's say you bought an NFT from someone, downloaded it, and decided to remint it for yourself, or like change it yourself and remint it. Like, that's a big no-no, and people would call you out for that, and you could report it. There's so many things you can do. So there's a certain level of control, but after that, like, you just kind of have to count on the community to hold each other accountable for that kind of stuff.
I gotcha.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice do you have for somebody who might be looking to get into NFTs?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say some things about how I started were really great. So just learn everything you possibly can, be a sponge, do all the research, whether Google or by joining Twitter spaces where they're talking about NFTs. And, make sure you're finding the good ones where it seems like everyone's reputable. Follow a lot of influence. I don't want to say influential, because I don't like influencers. I don't like that whole
People who have been in NFTs for a while.
Yes, thank you. So yes, because that has a weird connotation, but yeah, people that are just knowledgeable in NFTs and have the experience, and always do your own research and everything. Just be really smart. Never invest more into NFTs and this space than you can afford to lose. Because there's no guarantees with anything. This is not financial advice, but I'm just like, I just really immerse yourself in the community and be supportive of other artists. That's a big deal. And if you come into the community and you're just looking for a cash grab, and you just don't involve yourself in the community at all, and you just expect your work to sell on its own, it's just 99% of the time it's not going to happen, no matter how good you are. And unfortunately, that's been the case for some folks. You have to have a lot of humility coming into this space, and just know that you're going to have to start from the ground up and work really hard, and again, build connections authentically with people around you. Befriend collectors, befriend other artists, just join different communities, right? Just build connections. It's just like real world art in a way, because you're networking, right? You're networking, building relationships with people, collectors of all types, artists of all types. And that's important. That's your brand. That's who you are. You're putting your art out there and constantly creating and being involved. And yeah, so I mean, that's basically it. And just always never be afraid to ask questions from, to people that are really well established and know, a lot more of what they're doing. I will give you a secret though. None of us have this all figured out, because literally
that is the secret.
It's the secret. Like, I just gotta put it out there. Like, we have a general idea of the way things go, but let me just tell you, the second that anyone thinks they have it all figured out, they're going to be wrong, because it's immediately going to change tomorrow, or like in 5 minutes. I'm serious. Yeah. Like, it's just such a dynamic space. I mean, honestly, like it changes just as fast as the weather. Like, I hate to be nerdy and do a weather pun here, but like, it literally changes that fast. So so just invest yourself in the space, and make sure you have the time and energy to invest. Like, if you've got a full-time job and you have a family, you have kids, and you have school, and you have all these other things, it's going to be really challenging for you. And it's, again, sales success is not a reflection of you, the artist, or you, the person. It's just a matter of time investment and how much you can give yourself to this space, because that's really, unfortunately, that's what it takes to get seen. And for people to want to invest in you, they want to know you and want to see you're committed to the community, and that's just kind of what it's all about.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I was going to ask you how to make me rich, but one of our listeners actually had a better question, so I think we'll use his. So Garrett Beverly would like to know, if you sell one of your shots, do you still retain the rights to display it on your own website, gallery, social media, etc.?
Absolutely. And the only way that would not be the case is if you explicitly describe, like some platforms are now starting to move towards this, where you can actually select what type of licensing rights you are granting the collector of that piece. So like, whether it's editorial rights, or whether it's rights managed, or whether it's commercial, or all these other things. If you don't explicitly define what the usage rights of that image are when you sell it, then the general consensus, the understanding, is that you own the rights of your image, like, period. You still own it. In fact, you can still, like, some people even still do stock images, sell their images as stock, so I've had people ask me, well, if I already sell these images as stock, does that mean I have to delist all of those before I can sell it as an NFT? And the answer is no. Like, that's not the way it is, unless you're going to be giving away full usage rights. If you're giving away like a CC0, like full usage rights of your images, then yeah, like you're basically giving free usage to anyone, like to the world at that point, once you sell it. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of universally accepted that no, you still own the rights to your images, unless you explicitly outline different licensing and usage rights that are, given to the collector when they purchase it. So yeah, all of my photos that I've sold as NFTs, I still sell prints. Like, I still do things like that. I will say, now, if you want to increase the value of a certain NFT that you want to sell, for example, let's say you could just approach it like, okay, I've never shared this image anywhere. No prints will ever be offered of this. And whoever purchases this NFT will basically get either full rights, or like, editorial rights, or like, because if it's editorial, then they can just do basic, like, I don't know, I think they could do like publications and things like that with it. They could do very limited things with it, but, like, you still retain the rights at that point. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this whole NFT thing to build value. So creating a one-of-one unique NFT that's not for sale anywhere else, not on any stock websites, not any prints, like a truly one-of-one limited edition NFT, then you could do that, and you would be able to justify a higher price for that. But if it's a one-on-one NFT, you still only have that one-of-one NFT, even if you're selling prints and things like that, elsewhere. It's just, there's different approaches that you can take. I hope that wasn't like way too like all but sometimes it's sometimes hard to like concisely answer. But short answer, yes, you retain your rights.
Beauty.
Sorry, guys.
No, that's awesome. I'm not sure if I'm more confused now. Or
just if you're getting into it and you want to do anything with the rights, then do your research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that takes us to our break, so Jordan can play music or do something. What's he putting up there? He says it's break time. Send us your questions for Jess in the comments.
Aw, Hank, you're nice. Nice
comments. Yeah, there's the comments.
Those are both very nice comments.
Now he's playing the tunes. There he is.
Thank you, Hank.
We need our producer back. Yes, she does, Hank. No, that was awesome. I've got a pile of stuff to look up now.
You had to focus on talking. I was over here writing stuff down the whole time.
Oh, good. Then you do the work. I'll just collect the fruits of your labor.
Thank you, Hank.
So I'm on to page 3 here now, and it's got in bright yellow and bold letters that we need to get a soundbite from the guest. So, Jessica, could we get what do you usually ask for, Jordan?
Just like, this is Storm Chaser, Jessica Moore. You're listening to the PDS podcast, kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Ready?
And whenever it's recording,
Whenever.
so he'll
Okay.
be up.
Well, hey, this is Storm Chaser and meteorologist Jessica Moore, and you're listening to the PDS podcast.
Nice.
Perfect.
I sounded so nerdy. Oh my god.
I love it. It's perfect.
Well, hey.
We just spent 47 minutes talking about non-fungible tokens.
We sure
Don't worry
did.
about talking about being nerdy.
Okay, yes. We sure did. Solid point.
So how was your trip? I want to know how your trip went.
Oh my god, it was amazing. Saw a couple of national parks for the first time, like Joshua Tree and Death Valley. Man, incredible. Just beautiful parks, and I'm glad I went at this time of year because it's not like deadly hot. But I tell you what, I'm exhausted. 8 days of traveling across 5 states. I'm very tired. But it was amazing. I mean, I drove to LA for an NFT exhibition that I was going to be having a piece shown in, and it was just crazy surreal to see like my art on the wall of this gallery. Was that a sneeze? Bless you.
Yeah, that was.
A silent sneeze.
He's just dabbing over there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think I'm too old to dab.
Same. Oh shoot, no, but it was. Thanks for asking, Shannon. It was really wonderful. Needed road time. We know how it. Like you all know how it is with the road therapy. We need it. Every time I get back from a road trip, I'm like, man, yeah, like I needed that in my life.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to some road therapy that isn't icy.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Truly.
Yeah.
I had a pretty sketchy drive through portions of Utah and I-70 in Colorado. I was like a little sketched out. Very, very icy, surrounded by truckers, the fun stuff. But yeah, so I was glad to get home. But I tell you guys, like, I am tired of the cold. I'm ready for storms. Like, what's funny? Oh my God, it's so funny that well, I don't know if funny is the right word, but it's interesting that the one night that I was completely without service, I should say the 24-hour period that I was without service in Death Valley was when the crazy tornado, like epicness happened in Iowa. I missed every single bit of that. I had no idea any of that went down. I'm just having the time of my life in Death Valley, getting like honestly the best landscape shots, some of them that I've ever gotten. I'm like just my little happy place. I finally get service in Vegas the next day. I'm like, what did I miss?
Son of a bitch!
Like what? What did I miss? Okay, like I'm just gonna go cry in a corner real quick, but no.
Well, it's good you didn't have service then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to enjoy yourself.
I would exactly. It was like it was a blessing in disguise. And by the next day, I don't know, I was just so happy that I was like, I had a moment of like, well, damn, that sucks. I missed that, but I was still just riding that high of just like the nature getaway. It was just I wasn't really that bothered by it. But,
Well, when you got a SD card full of cool shit, it's okay to miss a tornado.
dude, for real, like thousands of photos. Like I'm overwhelmed with the amount of freaking photos that I have to go through. But it's a good problem to have. And then like storms are soon, man. So like I'm like already in that mode of just prepping for storm season. So let's go. I'm ready.
It's needed. It's definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
So Hank wants to know if you've ever seen the Canadian Rockies.
Oh my God, I have not. It's so sad. I really, every year I say, okay, this is the year I'm going to go check it out. I have been to Vancouver, Canada, which was BC, which was absolutely absolutely beautiful, stunning city, and did a little sightseeing around there. But I have not seen, like, I haven't really gone to, like, you know, Jasper and Banff and any of that epicness or anything like that. So it's on the bucket list, believe me.
Was there any
Borders
others
are
that I
open
missed?
again.
Yes, they are. Come up and get a poutine and go hang out in the mountains.
Yeah, like I will disappear into the mountains for like a solid week up there because it is such a dream to, like, honestly, to go check out. And I want to chase up there too. Like, that's another dream, is chasing in Canada would be pretty epic. So that's another bucket list item. We'll see.
Let us know. We'll make sure you got company.
Yes, I love it. I'll hold you to it.
There's always
Absolutely.
a room in the basement.
Heck, yes. Oh my God. To get a Canada tornado, I would die. I'm here for it.
Damn straight I will, Garrett. We'll fire the smoker up and we'll have all sorts of good stuff.
Oh my God. I'm there like tomorrow. No, just kidding. It might take a little longer than that to get there, but no, just kidding. Yes, I love it.
What else?
Hey,
So
Tom's there.
if anyone needs to grab more water or run to the bathroom quick, this is the perfect time to do it.
Okay. Hi, Tom. I see you.
Oh, I don't know what I clicked.
That was me.
No, I can hear you all.
Bueller.
Somebody losing internet? Is that me?
No, there we go. I clicked the... I don't know what I clicked, but you guys disappeared. My background showed up and I couldn't find my tab.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm tired of
Rubish.
the cold. It was minus 25 when I went out walking today.
That's disgusting.
It
Did you
was.
hear
Why-
about that like 30 or 40 car pileup on the number one today, Shannon?
What? No.
Yeah, it was between Eli and Headingley, I guess. That's why the highway shut down.
I didn't hear it even shut down. I
Yeah.
literally go nowhere. I go to the store once a week, maybe. Like, it's pathetic. I can't wait to get out and drive.
If we can afford it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Filled up the vehicle the other day and it was just about $200.
Might have to sell my new teeth for gas money.
You have to sell a few NFTs.
Oh my God.
That's why we're-
Non-fungible teeth.
That's what it's Oh my God. I'm dead. Oh my God. No, and I just got, I went through California and gas was $5.79 a gallon there. And I was just like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. I filled up my tank for, normally it's like $40, $45 to fill up my tank, and it was like 80. It's like, that smells
Yeah.
sustainable.
That's not good.
It's not, no, it's like not ideal at all.
Now, how can I ride a mountain bike and chase storms?
Dude, did you see that meme earlier? Somebody posted a chasing meme. Oh no, it's Storm Chaser Nick, the meme guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he posted that meme with the Dumb and Dumber thing with them riding the
Yes.
little moped. That's how we're going to be chasing. And he had like the laptop open with the radar scope on it or whatever.
Did he have J Jack's face on there? And
I don't even know. It was so funny. I died. So funny. I meant to retweet that actually. I might have to do that. But good stuff.
That's might be her reality.
Unfortunately.
mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing a lot of either a lot of carpooling, a lot of teaming up, riding together, which normally I chase solo a lot, but I think that's not going to be sustainable this year. So
We'll all be renting Nissan Micras from Enterprise, and it's $1,100 for the month of May if you rent one.
oh my
Unlimited
God.
mileage.
Hey, you might be onto something there.
I'm just saying, you might need two to
$2
carry your
a day.
equipment.
Yeah, $2 a day in insurance. So there you go.
Hey, that's
You better never take it off pavement.
Yeah.
That they'll know about.
Yeah, truly.
all right. So, are we? I think we're caught up on the questions.
Looks like it.
Perfect. Then we can jump into part 2 and let Jessica get to bed after 8 days on the road.
Oh my god, I'm so tired. I'm gonna sleep like a baby. I can't wait.
All right, yeah, I'll just play the sponsored ad, and then you guys can get back to it.
So as soon as the ad's done, then Shannon, you can jump in, and I think we're with your question from Not Read.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I'm good.
You've thought a question up.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and here we go.
Hail damage. It can happen at any time, and when it does, bring it to the hail repair specialists at Miracle Dent, because dents are what we do. Our paintless dent repair process maintains your original factory finish with no repainting or parts to order. You'll have your vehicle with its original factory paint back in no time like it never happened. If Mother Nature has put a dent in your summer, come to Miracle Dent Repair. Dents are what we do.
I love that sound.
Dents?
That hail. Every time we play that commercial, I love it.
So, Jess, we've started doing this thing where we ask our guests if they have a question for our next guest. And on the last episode, we had Reed Timmer. So he didn't quite get back to us with his question, but Gizmo did reach out, and she just wanted to ask if she can come for a visit.
If she can come for a visit?
Yes.
Like to me? Of course.
To you.
Oh my god, I love Gizmo knows that I love her. Okay, so we're already besties. And anytime I run into Reed out in the field, I'm just happy to come see her and give her all the pets and love. So yes, absolutely anytime.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to set up a visit.
I would love that.
So do you have a question for our next guest? Will be Greg Kopp and Dave Stills from NTP.
I'm sorry, you actually kind of cut out there. I didn't catch the name.
Sorry. I said, did you have a question for our next guests, which will be Greg Kopp and David Sills from NTP, which is the what is it?
Northern Tornado Project.
Northern Tornado Project. Yes, I knew what TP was.
Northern Tornado Project. Maybe if I knew more about them or the project.
Okay, and we can get that information to you.
Yes.
After.
Oh, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
And we can follow up.
Okay, let's do that. That way I come up with a good question for them. Yeah,
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So now it's time for the 21 question segment where we get to learn all about Jess's life as a storm chaser.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So to start it off, since I've only been chasing for like a year and a half, I like to use this as a time or a point to get the lowdown, the scoop on what your secret weapon is. What do you do, or what do you look for in the models or the radar? What do you do to forecast?
You know, that's a great question. Obviously, like my process is similar to I think a lot of chasers, where you know I don't look at a lot of stuff long range because so much changes, but I do look just for general patterns. Obviously, just general jet stream patterns, things like that might be showing signs of like, you know, disturbances to come, right? But then as you get closer, you kind of fine tune some of these details more and more, and you start to look for those concentrated areas where there could be severe weather. But it's really, for me, most of my forecasting is done like 24 hours in advance of the setup, and especially the morning of, because I don't like to use the cams a lot. It's just a tool. It's like a tool basically in the bucket of all the things that you use. But I think that people get too hung up on the cams, and it ends up kind of hurting them in a lot of ways. So my process involves more of like really looking at the environment, looking at the just the you know, the observations essentially of the morning, you know, the morning of, like whether it's observed, you know, like the actual observed soundings, or just looking at meso analysis. That these are really important things. I do really a full analysis like the day of. Like I try to do like my forecasting method is essentially from the top down, starting at the highest levels of the atmosphere and working my way down just to get like the full complete picture. Because if you only just pick and choose certain parameters to look at, you could easily miss things. You can miss details that are important to your forecast. So I really just try to look at the full picture, and to really break it down would probably take too long. But like my big things is honestly like I really just look at the daytime obs, and look at satellite, look at and observe soundings. Those are the big things. Those are my three things: is mesoanalysis, observe soundings, and satellite. And there's so much that you can learn just from that. And then if I feel like I need a little more confidence in my forecast, yeah, okay, I'll look at some cams, I'll look at the HER, I'll look at NAM 3K. But I like that as like just a last resort, or like just something to like just to keep an eye on. But as Reed or anyone else will tell you, like you forecast the environment, not the cams, right? Like you look at the environment. And I've learned a lot from just kind of watching his approach and seeing how he, what he looks at, and listening to even like a lot of his debriefings that he does live. It's really important just to look at the full picture of your setup, right? You cannot just take notes. That's great. Yeah. You can't just look at certain things like your SIGTOR, like, like SRH and like, CAPE, like all of these things, each piece of the puzzle, they're important, but you got to look at the full spectrum. And I really like to look for gradients. So, whether it's a gradient with the obviously with your dry line, you look at your dew point gradient, you look for dry line bulges. Those are obviously always important. I love to play dry line bulges. That's one of my favorite things is to target those areas, because they have that enhanced area of enhanced, helicity and vorticity and convergence and all those things. But then I also really like playing the triple points. I really like playing triple points a lot. It just depends on the particular setup, but it depends on the setup. But like, I tend to kind of hover between those things. Like I love dry line storms because you're more likely to have more of those isolated, pretty structured storms. Typically, I mean, not that's not always the case, but a lot of the times you'll get more of those pretty isolated structured storms along the dry line and dry line bulges and things like that. Whereas sometimes triple point storms can be more messy, but there's also there's a lot of convergence and vorticity happening there as well. So there's so many things happening at these different points. So it's a play-by-play thing, and a lot of decisions are made the morning of. Like I'll generally get to a forecast area that I feel fairly confident about, but then if I wake up that morning and the models are telling me I need to go way over here, I need to totally throw out my plans for the night before, and I need to go here. A lot of that can be determined by looking at satellite. You wake up and there's a frontal boundary. Like you wake up and there's some feature on satellite that's telling you need to go here. And you need to be kind of willing to throw out your forecast if you need to play what's happening in the environment right now, and throw the models out the window and just play what is happening in the environment right now. So that's just kind of, I guess that's my thing, is I've really learned to pattern recognition. I've really learned to develop that a lot, just looking for patterns, both in the satellite and just, different observations and things like that. And just kind of go with my gut. A lot of what I do is purely gut instinct, just based on, 11 years of chasing now, which, gosh, I can't believe that. That's crazy. But that's wild to me. But a lot of it's just experience, really. But those are kind of my methods. If I don't know, hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. Yeah. I also took notes.
Yay, that's awesome.
Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know if it's cutting out at all. Okay.
No, it's back.
Okay, I'm back. I'm good. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Jess, what is something interesting that most people don't know about you?
Oh gosh, where to start about that?
Keep it PG, please.
How dare you? You just took away all my fun. Oh gosh, as I rip out my earbud here. Something interesting about me. I'm very musical, so I play 3 instruments. I play violin, piano, and guitar, and I also sing. So, very, very musical family, very artsy family. So I don't know, maybe not a lot of folks know that about me. I don't really share that much myself of my musical self online, but it's another big passion of mine. It's just another creative outlet that I rely on a lot. It just music is a big part of my life. So yeah.
Oh, that's neat. So when you're sitting there under the storm waiting for things to happen, you got your guitar and you're just playing away.
Oh God, no! I don't ever bring my guitar with me. It's too risky, man. Like, oh, plus, God, like the amount of equipment I already have in my car is so insane that to think about also having a guitar case, I'm like, no, like I'm just not even gonna mess with that. But it's a nice thought though, like especially with those like slow moving storms, like for example, Leody or like that Earth Texas supercell last year. Those are both pretty slow moving storms, and I had enough time to bust out my camping chair. And if I had a guitar, I would have for sure had time to like bust out some jams and just like take in the storm, man. Like it was great. I love those slow moving storms where you can just like take it all in instead of just having to rush to reposition. And you don't really like, it's just like go, go, go. You don't really get to enjoy it as much as those slow movers where you can just like truly just take in the majesty of the storm that you're witnessing. That's my favorite thing ever. So.
Yeah, I can envision you and Panko's Hake just just hanging out on the side of the road with your guitars, just strumming away, playing a tune. I could totally see that.
I would die. That would be incredible. Oh my God, that's like, hey, life goals, casual. Yeah.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Can you imagine? I love it. I'm here for it.
So, what do you enjoy most about presenting the weather?
About presenting, like in terms of what do you mean exactly?
I would say, what do you enjoy most about storm chasing?
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, that's our bad. That's a leftover question that I didn't fix.
I'm like, I could take that a lot of directions. No, presenting. What do I love most about storm chasing? Okay, well, that's like, there's no simple answer to that question because there's so many things. It's okay. We talked about this earlier. Road therapy, like just the very act of getting in the car, hitting the open road. As soon as I get to the plains and out away from the city lights and out away from the craziness of the city, I just feel like a weight lifts off my chest and I'm so free. And I'm just like, you're blasting your tunes and you're just like, you're en route to chase. And like, is there any better feeling in the world than just like that anticipation, that excitement? You don't know what the atmosphere is going to deliver. You have no idea. You're just excited. You're just like ready to go. Like, I can't wait to see what it delivers. I have no idea, but I'm like prepped. Like in blasting your favorite tunes, you just like, you feel untouchable in those moments. And then there's that, you get to the target, and then you're waiting for storms to develop, and there's that building anticipation. You're just like it like looking at the clear blue sky or like the Q field starting to develop, and you're just like, oh man, like you can just feel the instability in the atmosphere and you can feel the moisture on your skin, and you're just like alive. You're like ready to go. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens. And then like that moment too of like, okay, this is the storm, and you're like en route to the storm, and it's chase mode. Like it's go time. It's like there's so many different points of the chase that are just so exciting and so like fulfilling. And then you chase, and it's like I love all of it. I love everything. Like I love the intense like core punches where you're just getting slammed with like massive hail and you can't see anything around you, and it's just like super intense. You like can't even hear anything. It's so loud, but you can't barely see the road in front of you. Like I'm a freak of nature and I love it because it's just like I'm in my element. I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like blast my metal full volume. Like let's go. And I just push through that storm. You get through it to the other side, and you turn around, and you look at it, and you're like, damn, that is so beautiful. And like like I've had those moments of doing that, and then I punch through, and hey, there's a tornado forming literally right next to me, and it's like, okay, like you're just like, I don't know, like for me, I'm just like fully in my element. I'm in my zone. Like I'm like fully focused. Nothing can distract me. Nothing else exists except for this storm, this moment. All your problems kind of just go away, and you feel again like you kind of just feel like you're untouchable. You're like at peace. You're where you're supposed to be. You're just like everything. And then even at the end of the chase, it's like you're about to end your chase, but then like if you hang around even and just like just watch the storm drift off and you watch it slowly start to dissipate and you look at the colors on the backside, the mimosas that sometimes form, and then the setting sun just kind of bathing it this golden pink light.
Yes.
And it's just like every single stage of the chase, even like, okay, even after that, you get like, you go and you like meet up with your friends at like a diner and you're all just like pumped on the chase and you're excited, you get your steaks or whatever it is. Yeah, tornadoes or like whatever it was, epic structure. Holy crap, like great day. And then like you go back to the hotel, like I have this ritual, get back to my hotel room. I turn on the Weather Channel just to see a recap of everything that's been going on. I'm like immediately emptying my SD cards and I'm editing my favorite shots of the day and I can't wait to get them posted. And it's just like, the next day you're about to do it all over again. And it's like, hell yeah. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I love every aspect of it, start to finish.
You're getting me pumped. You're getting
like,
me
let's
pumped.
go. Like, I'm getting myself pumped. It's so great. Like, oh God, I need it. We all need it. Yes.
How did you get interested in the weather?
Oh, I honestly, my family, my dad particularly, he would always tell me stories of growing up in Dallas and the storms that he would see. And I always made him retell the same story over and over. This one particular story of he and his brothers getting up onto the roof of their house to watch a tornado demolish a 7-Eleven down the street. When he was like younger and like literally watched the tornado, like suck up the 7-Eleven sign into the funnel. And like his mom the whole time was looking for he and his brothers and couldn't find them anywhere because they're on the roof watching this tornado. They're supposed to be taking shelter, but they're like boys, right? So they're like, no, I want to go see the tornado. So they're up on the roof and they're watching it. And it was one of my favorite stories because he just had this intensity, this passion when he was talking about, you could see his eyes light up about how incredible that was to witness. And it just kind of like sparked my interest from there, from very, very young age. And, movies like, Wizard of Oz, Twister, the classic, obviously, like it goes without saying. That was my most watched movie growing up. Like I watched it unhealthy amounts, like just way unhealthy amounts. My parents were for sure concerned about me. Like, why? Like, do you ever watch anything else? No, Mom, it's Twister. Okay. Like I'm trying to watch Twister. And, it was one of those things. Anytime there was a storm, like I wanted to be out watching it. And like, we would bust out, like, honestly, like my family loved it. We would just open the garage door whenever, the garage, and whenever a storm came through, we'd bust out our lawn chairs and just watch the storm. And we all just loved like listening to the crashing thunder and watching the lightning flashes. It was just crazy, again, like my grandmother and my basically like Dallas was kind of my second home because that's where my grandmother and folks lived. And my uncle was with her, and they like taught me how to read radar from a really young age. And they would help me track storms. And then the first time I was ever in a tornado warning, they helped me, like my uncle helped me kind of track it and like see position, like basically explained what all the pretty colors on the screen mean and how it all works, right? And I don't know. It was just it's just always been there. It's all since I was a little girl. It's always been there. It's just that intense desire to see the storms. Like if there's a tornado warning, Jessica's not going for shelter. She's going to try to go outside and see that storm. So, it's just since I was a kid, that's how I've been.
Oh, that's terrific.
That's awesome.
When it roars, Jess runs outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Yes. Exactly.
You need a bumper sticker for that.
I like it. I might just have to do that. That's a smart one, Curtis. I love it.
So who has been your, I guess, most influential mentor professionally growing up?
Mentor. Aside from my dad, who's been like just the biggest supporter of my, and really the biggest source of fuel, I think a lot of times for not just storms, but photography, because he is also a photographer. So he taught me a lot of what I know and really got me started on the path with photography. In terms of like within the field of storm chasing, like in meteorology, my male storm chasing idol was of course Reed. I mean, I obviously from Storm Chasers and like so many other people, like he was just my inspiration. And I still remember the first time I met him at his house in like 2015 or something like that. And I was like a nervous freaking wreck. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm meeting my idol right now. Like, this is so like crazy. And now like, he's just like the homie. I don't know. Like I just, maybe that's ridiculous to say, but like I mean, I love Reed. Like I have nothing but good things to say about Reed. He's such a good dude. And he continues to be, you know, someone of a source of just massive inspiration for me. But, you know, I actually just did a thread on Twitter earlier about just all the women in meteorology that have inspired me too. You know, there's so many, but Karen Kosiba, she's by far number one for me. You know, just the field research that she's been a part of, you know, Vortex 2 and Twirl and so many projects that she has been just really integral, you know, aspect of. And, you know, just her research has just been so fascinating. And just being a woman in a STEM field like that, and no less being a woman out there operating the Dow in like chasing storms. And every time I just saw her, you know, speak, not just like, you know, in the television series, you know, Storm Chasers, but also just like any of her other interviews or anything like that, I was just always like, oh my God, I want to be like her when I grow up. Like, you know, she's not that much older than me, but like, I do feel like Karen. But then, you know, like there just weren't that many storm chasing women that I just didn't see women out there storm chasing. So I literally only had Joe from Twister to go off of as like, I want to be like her, you know, like she was my idol.
Well, and that's a pretty good role model.
Yeah, like
she was a badass.
She was a badass. Let's be real. Like I wanted to be Joe, like hands down.
We all did. We
all wanted to be Joe. Like every storm chase. Okay, even the men. Okay, let's be real. She was the bad. Come on. I love it. That's fantastic. But truly, like there just weren't female chasing role models. So all I really had was, you know, people like Reed to look up to until I did just, you know, start to discover more women out there, which was, you know, amazing. And I loved that. And I just was so grateful to discover more, like, you know, Emily Sutton and Ginger Z. And like, you know, there's so many out there now that I just want to emulate myself after and who inspire me. So yeah, there's no really one single person besides, I would say, my dad that's been really instrumental in, you know, because he was just instrumental in starting me on this path. But from there, there's just been so many inspirational people that, yeah, those are just the names that really stick out for me.
What's changed the most since you started chasing?
Changed the most.
So, I mean, when you started, the iPhone 4 was probably brand new.
Oh my gosh. So much has changed. I would say just my overall, you know, confidence in my forecasting ability for sure has like massively improved, especially after going through the amazing program that I went through at Mississippi State and being able to apply that to, you know, real world applications, obviously with chasing. You know, just really, really an amazing program. Greg Nordstrom, my professor there, was probably the single most influential person for me in terms of just massive improvement on my forecasting. I mean, just so massive. And so, yeah, just really overall, just confidence, skills, ability to trust my own instinct, ability to chase solo and take more of the risky maneuvers that I, you know, get closer to storms and do stuff that I used to think that only men do these things. Like even before I was storm chasing, I thought that was really just a guy's thing because I didn't really see women doing it. But now that there's more of that, I feel like my confidence in this growing and feeling like every single year I set new goals for myself to push myself even harder and farther than I ever did before. So every single year I'm trying to one up myself, and I'm not competing with anybody else but me because I want to be the best me that I can be. And, you know, I would say probably the other thing is just like, I don't know, just like the ability to rise above, you know, the constant, a lot of times there have felt like a lot of setbacks, really just a lot of, you know, people that try to bring down women in storm chasing. There's just been a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and I won't get into it, but I
stay off Twitter.
I have found, well, unfortunately with NFTs, that's like impossible. But I will say that continuously I'm learning to use it as fuel to rise above and just like be even more awesome and just like continue to work hard and prove my worth out there. And you know, because I remember the early days of chasing with, you know, certain men, like just there's one specific incident where I remembered with a certain chaser that like I was trying to have input in the forecasting for a specific day, and I really felt strongly that about this target, like this location, and here's why. I was trying to have my forecasting input, and he literally said, oh, go back to the back seat. The men are talking, and I just felt. I was just like,
Excuse me?
are you serious? Like I was so shocked by that. But constantly in my early days of chasing with guy friends or boyfriends or whatever, like I was constantly feeling like I didn't really have a voice, or I wasn't allowed to have input. I was just the girl that took pretty pictures with the camera. But now I'm proving, at least I hope I'm proving, that like I can do this on my own. I don't need anyone's help. I feel like I'm like have gotten to the point where I can say that I'm a good chaser. Like I forecast like pretty fairly successfully, and I try to always get shots that I feel like no one else is getting. And that doesn't always work, but it's my goal for myself. Like I try to just really rise above everything and just prove why, I do have a voice here, and my work should matter. And like, I don't know. Oh, look at Alice being all sweet. That's my boyfriend. Hi, Alex. Hi.
So Alex says, and after everything, Jess is now one of those helping to inspire other women in chasing, and not just women, everyone.
Oh, that's
It's fantastic watching what you do.
Oh my God, emotions. Stop. Thank you.
You are now the mentor.
Oh God, no, that's so crazy. Like, I do want to help. I want to empower it, like women, anyone that wants to break into chasing. Like, don't let anyone hold you back. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do, or make you think that you can't do this. Just if it's something you're passionate about and you want to learn, just like go out there with everything you've got and just learn, soak it all in, and just always just strive to be your best self. And don't be too proud to ask for help or expertise from other folks. Like, I learned a lot from my early days of chasing from other professionals in the field. And I still continue to look to people out there, like, Cameron Nixon, who's like, photograph Jesus, we call him, like just the genius of photographs, right? Like I pick his brain constantly. I will literally like with setups, I'll just send him stuff and be like, okay, so here's my theory about this. Am I right? Like, what should I analyze differently? Or like ask his opinion about things. And like, I'm still forever constantly learning. So no chaser out there, no single meteorologist or chaser out there has it all figured out. If anyone thinks that, like, they just need to cut the ego a little bit, because all of us have something to learn, and weather will constantly be showing us that. Like, Mother Nature will humble you and show you that there's so much left to learn. And I hope that I can always remain humble to help people and uplift others. And yeah, that's my goal.
Absolutely. And you're doing that. So, and Storm came for a visit. She heard we were talking.
Hi. Oh, hi, Katie. That's precious. I love it.
So I lost my page because of her. So, so what did you do as a job before you got into storm chasing?
Before storm chasing, I've kind of been all over the place, but mostly, I was in the service industry, bartending. That was my big thing. And I still continued to do that a lot through chasing, because it can be a great side income, and I was honestly, I did really well with it, but it just got to the point I just hated bartending. I just hated so much about it. It was such a toxic industry, and just being around that environment all the time. Like, there's a lot of situations I was feeling unsafe all the time, and just there's just a lot of things with that were just really difficult. But it was something I initially really enjoyed doing. Like, I am very much, or at least at that point, I was a lot more of a people person. Maybe the pandemic has changed that a little bit, but I just like enjoyed the personal connections with folks. And so that was my gig. I was bartending, I was going to school full time, being a single mom, and still, and then storm chasing. So
Wow.
that was kind of my thing.
That requires a lot of energy. So are you more of a night person or a morning person?
Habitually, I'm a night person. However, being a parent, I have to be a morning person. So I'm a little bit of a mixture of both, which is kind of ends up with me not sleeping as well as I should. But like, got to get up early for the kiddo. But then I work. I don't know about you guys, but like I'm most productive. I work my best when I'm at night when I can really just have my quiet and really think, and just like that's when I'm most productive. I get this like burst of energy. I feel like I could do anything, but middle of the day, I'm like, don't even talk to me. I'm just like not functional. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, it's I'd say it. I'm a night person for sure.
What challenges have you experienced as a storm chaser?
Most of those are related to being a woman, but like
I knew it. I didn't want to ask it. Gonna get ganged up on here.
No. I will say there have been so many amazing men. I know I'm sure I have the reputation for being like a little bit hostile and confrontational about issues in storm chasing community, but it's for a good cause, and there's good intention and heart behind it. And there have been so many amazing men that I've met in chasing that, including Alex, who spoke up or commented a minute ago. Like there are diamonds in the rough out there, and there are so many wonderful people that I have like been able to cross paths with. But I have had, unfortunately, some very, very negative experiences as well. And like I just, again, like it's all been a lot of growth for me, because it's been a lot of challenge and a lot of times feeling like kind of on my own, just like as a woman in this field. Again, before I discovered a lot of folks, like I really just felt like I was fending for myself. But I just honestly, I constantly, even like when I got a job for Weather Nation, I worked for them as a field correspondent for just over a year. And I dealt with just constant rumors of how I got the job that were unsavory rumors and just horrible things, like as if a woman couldn't possibly find success unless she did something unsavory to get her way there. And it just was really hard for me, because I felt like for years I was just trying to prove who I was, and that I'm super passionate about this. Like weather is my entire life, storms, meteorology. Like I literally went to school for it. Like it's everything that I have been passionate about since I was a little girl. And so it's been hard to deal with a lot of personal attacks and things like that I've dealt with over the years. So that honestly has been my biggest challenge, is learning to tune out the noise of like anyone that wants to try to bring you down in this field, and instead just focus on the why. Like keep coming back to why you chase, because when you tune all that out and you're able to just get back to why you chase, it's the world goes a lot quieter, and you're able to just like still be happy and find enjoyment by tuning all that out as much as possible, and just like falling in love with storms again. Like there was just a time that I really struggled with like gosh, like all this negativity is making it hard for me to even enjoy chasing anymore. But like, man, I've worked really hard on it, and like I honestly found I found my passion again. Just I feel like I keep refinding my passion every year. Like I think all of us go through these kind of lulls sometimes with chasing, where like, God, like some years, especially like 2018, 2020 for me, where it's super quiet. You're grinding it out for all these chases where nothing happens, and you're just like, dude, why am I even doing this? Like, this is the stupidest hobby sometimes. Like, I'm wasting so much time and energy and gas. And for what? Like, just, okay, I can look at this little turkey tower over here and just feel sad about my life. Like, but it's like, it just takes one storm. It takes one storm, like Leote, like Imperial, like Earth, Texas, like McCook, like Dodge City, like you got in the background there. Like it just takes one storm to like kickstart that, like reignite that passion again. You're like, oh, well, that's exactly why I do this. Yeah. Okay.
I remember.
Like, yeah. Like,
all we got to do is bring it back to that question of what do you enjoy most about storm chasing? Because the passion and the energy that you got from that, even just the question, like it's just, you got to remember that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Got to come back to the passion, because that's the whole reason we're all out there. Like when you look at the storm chaser community and all the craziness that happens, if we just come back to refocus on why we're doing it, and just come back to the love of storms, then it's just so much more enjoyable for all of us when we do that.
Exactly. So can you tell me or tell us about the 3 most influential people in your life and how they impacted you?
Well, again, my dad would probably be number one, because again of the influence with both photography and storms. And like, there's just something about like coming back from a storm chase, and honestly, my dad is immediately like wanting to see oh my God, what'd you capture? Like he just wants to immediately know, like, give me the full debrief. I want to see what you saw. Like, and like it, for some reason, that's when it really finally fully hits for me. Like the full scope of it is like when my dad looks at my storm photos and he's like, oh man, you saw that? That was so epic. Like he's just like the most hilarious, most adorable passion that you can imagine. It's just like he's like a little kid when he looks at my storm photos because he loves the weather, but he's not going to go chase storms. Like it's just not his. He's 71. Like so he lives vicariously through me, I think, in a lot of ways. So for sure, he is probably number one. But then, like I think earlier I mentioned Karen Kosiba. She's for sure, I would say I don't know. It's hard to say between. Are we talking like influential in meteorology or like just in general?
Just in general. Just in general.
Well, I don't know. Weather is kind of my entire life, so that's that's so bad. And I do it all for my daughter too. Like I don't know if this even is relevant, but just like I want to just inspire her and show. I want to be her role model. Basically, I want to be that for her. Like, because I didn't really have females to look up to that were in STEM fields or did anything like storm chasing, or every single woman I know has like followed a specific path and done a specific thing. You marry a rich man and that's how that works, and you don't really do anything else with your life. No, like that. I never wanted that path. Like I just wanted my own thing, and so I'm kind of just trying to model that for my daughter. Just like, if you have a science dream, like don't let anyone tell you that like you can't do it. And she wants to be an astronomer. She's gone storm chasing with me. Like, I just hope to always like be that role model for her. So like, I guess I don't really have a whole lot of terribly influential people for me outside of meteorology. I have a ton of role models in meteorology, but outside of that, I mean, really, it's just my dad. My mom too, I guess, just in a different way. She's a very like, she doesn't take shit from anyone kind of thing. Like so that's where I got that from, as my mom. She's a very, very, she's a tough woman. So she inspires me in that way. But yeah, no, I don't really have a lot of folks outside of meteorology that inspire me. So I just hope to be an inspiration to other people and to my daughter. That's kind of, I guess, the goal for me.
Absolutely. And I think you are. I honestly think you are. And I mean, I think I wrote something today on Twitter about, where we were and where we are and where we're going, as women in general. And, it's amazing the strides that we've taken so far. Like if you think, even in our technology and everything, right? And and one of the things you're doing from the WX Twitter world, like you're bringing that to the forefront, right? Like you're calling people out and you're being that voice for others who maybe don't have that voice. So,
Yeah.
And I think that, maybe your mom instilled that in you and you're instilling that in your daughter. So,
yeah, I mean, I want people out there to like not ever feel like they're alone in this. I think especially women especially, we have to stick together, and it's really hard when when you feel like you're like on your own, and it's like it's a man's world. It still is. Like I'm just gonna say it, and this is not an offense to anyone else. Like there's some, again, amazing men out there. Like this is not an insult, but it is still very hard for women to feel valued, feel heard, feel seen, be valued on the same level as their peers. How many storm chasing shows you see about women? I think there's been like one. There's like all these, storm chasing men that are featured, which is, again, this is not anything against them, but like, I want to see more women being highlighted and uplifted and these powerful voices being amplified. Like, I don't know, if I can be any part of helping that happen, then I'm all for it. Cause there's too many badass women that are like way under recognized and undervalued that I just think they need the spotlight. So I'm here trying to help provide that as much as I can.
Awesome.
What is your favorite state to chase in and why?
Oh, I love that question. It's a tough one though.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
I feel that. I think you've probably learned about me that I can't just come up with a simple answer to any question.
So I'll be back in 10 minutes.
No. I'll try not. I love the high plains. I'm such a high plains girl. It's where I learned to chase here in Colorado. It's there's just something about the storms that we get here on the high plains and the northern plains as well that they're just so photogenic often. And, you know, typically they're not producing extremely violent tornadoes that destroy cities and lives. So I don't like to chase deadly tornadoes. I know it's an inevitability, probably, you know, like I've been very fortunate in 11 years of chasing to, I don't think I've ever chased a tornado that's killed someone that I know of. And I love the pretty scenic storms, that the kind that you can photograph and put on your wall, and the High Plains delivers that. So I have this little, I don't even want to call it a state. It's like my favorite geographic area. Like my geographic area is like northeastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, like western Nebraska into like western, you know, South Dakota, and then a bit into, you know, western Kansas. Like that's kind of like my little trifecta. But then I also like my secondary area would be like the Texas Panhandle and northeast New Mexico. I love that area as well. Southeastern Colorado. So there's like my two main, like those are my hot spots. But I'll chase, like I will chase literally anywhere. I will chase Dixie. I will chase the upper Midwest. I'll chase, I don't care. I'll chase the northeastern.
Just wait till you come up to Canada. Come up to Canada. We'll take you around Manitoba and Saskatchewan. You're going to be amazed. Like it's flat land for miles and like grid roads, like mostly no issues. So yeah, you're going to love it.
Oh my God, I would lose my mind. You don't even know. So I keep saying every year this is going to be the year, but maybe this is going to be the year. Like, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. So we'll see. I've chased as far north as like just below the border of on North Dakota, like Canada border there. Yeah. But it's just like been so close to the border, but haven't quite crossed over. So maybe this will be the year. We'll see.
Yes, definitely. Like I said before, there's a room in the basement. You're more than welcome to it.
Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate that.
And I don't know where Curtis went. Oh, his laptop's dying, so he said he'd be right back. So I will ask his question for him.
Oh goodness. Okay. that's always fun.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny enough, I actually wanted to study volcanoes first. That's what I was really into. I was really, really into volcanoes. Oh, hey, there's Jordan.
Yeah, I'll take over until Curtis is back.
Okay. That works. So initially it was volcanoes, but it really didn't take long for me to switch over to, meteorology. So, oh, there he is.
Sorry.
There he's back.
Oh, good.
How dare you?
I panicked. It started giving me alarms.
Oh, no. That's awful. Well, welcome back.
All right, I'm going back to the background.
See you, buddy.
Okay, you're on number 11.
Thank you.
Oh, no, we already went over that one. Okay, then I'll ask my question. How's that? So, hurricanes, tornadoes, or structure, what's your favorite to chase and why?
Well, first of all, I've never chased a hurricane. I have accidentally experienced one once in Mexico, long before I was actually chasing storms. So I've not actually intentionally chased a hurricane before. But maybe I'll do that one of these days. But there's not a whole lot of like photographic interest for me. It'd be more like, okay, if I could get like a badass stadium effect from inside the eye of like a powerful hurricane, then yeah, I'd be down with that. But I just don't want to deal with all the other like nonsense of it. I don't know, but maybe one of these days. I can never give a straight answer. I'm so sorry. Like, oh my God. Okay, so structure. I mean, I think y'all know I'm a structure junkie, like hardcore. Like my Leote, Imperial, Earth, Texas, like those three storms. Like I think that's probably what I'm most known for is my structure shots. But that being said, I do love to be in close proximity to badass tornadoes too. Like I'm not one of those that only likes to hang back and shoot the structure at all. I'm a hybrid. I think Reed called me a hybrid chaser because he was like, you're not like a full structure hipster, but you're also not always in the bear's cage either. So like you do both. And like, you're one of few people that does like the hybrid. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. I'm a hybrid. Structure hippies unite. Hey, I love
Good
it.
old Garrett.
Yes. I mean, I can't be mad at that. Like, yeah, I'll be a structure hipster for sure. Like when you have something like that, like Imperial, like come on. Like, do you think I want to be under the storm not seeing that? Hell no. Like I want to see all the striations, the full scope of how this massive beast is just like come on, like that's where I want to be. But
time lapsing that and seeing that rotation, like it's incredible, right?
Oh my god, just like absolutely amazing. But that being said, being close to tornadoes is pretty amazing. Once you've had like a mile and a half wide, whatever tornado cross the road in front of you, like 250, 300 yards away, like there's just nothing else compared to that experience, and it's just like intense. Like I'll never forget that experience in Louisiana. It was my first Louisiana tornado, my first Dixie Alley tornado. Like, still remember February 7th, 2017. It was just crazy. So, like, I don't know. I can't pick one or the other. And this is why I can't ever give straight answers, because there's always so many layers of like what I love. So I'm very easily pleased. Let's just say that.
What was your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
Oh no, we're gonna.
There you go. Now, like straight up interview questions now.
No, God. Okay. Well, missing the Ray, Colorado tornado was pretty rough. Not gonna lie, it's hard to say because I've had a lot of failures. So like, that's probably one of the bigger ones. I was on a very like desolate dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and I was a little baby bit above the speed limit, and I got busted with a speeding ticket. And that cop like really wanted to just like talk to me about storms for like what felt like hours, like 45 minutes. He ended up not ticketing me. Like,
dude, I'm speeding for a reason. I gotta go.
No, I really do try to, like, I have like a 5 mile over the speed limit rule, but I crept over it a little bit. I'm not like an intentional speeder by any means, but it just happened to be like this random middle of nowhere dirt road. I went a little bit over the speed limit, got caught, and then he just used it as an opportunity to like give me 21 questions about every storm trivia question you could imagine, because he was so fascinated by what I was doing. I was like, this is sweet and all, but like there's a tornado happening right now and I'm missing it. And like, of course I didn't have any idea at that point what it looked like, and that I was basically missing the tornado of a lifetime. If I'd known that conversation might have gone a little differently, but
can I get
just give me the ticket.
Just give me a ticket and let me go. Like at this point, yes, but no ticket, thankfully. But yeah, like I that was a pretty big one. Simla. Notice all of my biggest misses are in my backyard. Okay, so there's a pattern here. The Simla, Colorado tornado was just breathtaking, beautiful tornado. I was actually on that storm when it developed, and initially went up, and I watched it produce a couple like bowl-shaped funnels, and it, like I could tell it was going to do the thing. Like I was literally there underneath, like I was one of the first chasers underneath, like directly underneath it as it was like about to produce. And I had to work my bartending job that night, and I did not call off of work like an idiot. I think it was one of those like situations where there literally wasn't anyone that could cover me. They were short staffed. So looking back, I should have just like no-showed at this job for this tornado. Like I'm serious. Like that's how incredible that tornado was. And I knew as I was driving away from it that I was going to miss something epic. It was literally like probably producing a tornado as I was driving like away. So that was pretty painful. There've been a few over the years, but that's probably the biggest one. Those two, I would say, just and they weren't even necessarily like my doing that I screwed up. I haven't really had like a very bad busted forecast except for May 26th of last year, where everyone and their mom was in Southwest Kansas hoping for Dodge City 2.0, and Nebraska went bonkers, and we missed a lot of epic tornadoes that day. That was probably one of my most painful, actually busted forecasts. But I was in good company. Like a whole lot of chasers busted in Western Kansas that day. So I guess that's the only solace I can take from that.
What happens, right? You're going to have areas where you're going to have, two targets, and you got to pick one. There's nothing you can do.
There's just nothing. But, the good thing is that from every failure, I honestly learned so much more from my failed chases than I do from any of my successes. It's like, okay, well, you just, because you if you're like me, you pick apart every single thing in the forecast afterwards to figure out what you missed and like what you overlooked and how did I screw this up, and like what are the signs I should have seen. Of course, I usually find them, or I pick other people's brains until I do, and other people smarter than me, right? But eventually I'll get to the answer, and it's a learning thing, and so it just serves to make me a better chaser in the long run, better forecaster, and hopefully like decrease those failures.
Yeah.
Right? Reduce the failure rate.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of successes, so you've covered a lot of storms, right? So which one stands out the most, or which one was the most important to you?
I would say, honestly, if I had to pick, it would be Leote. Leote, Kansas, May 21st, 2016. And because it was the first time I really, it was one of those moments where I was seeing something that I thought that I only could have ever dreamed about. I never imagined I would be able to see structure like that. Like, I just never thought anything like that was remotely possible. It was just jaw-dropping. And, it produced a couple of tornadoes that nobody cared about. But, it was one of those storms that just, changed my entire life. And I realized it was a pivotal moment for me, because I realized what the possibilities were of what I could really do with storm photography, what I could potentially capture. And it really shaped a lot of how I approach storms now. And now I know a lot of signs to look for, that help me kind of refine my positioning around storms and how I'm going to approach this storm versus that storm, how to know when structure's forming, and even when I'm underneath the storm, signs to look for. And it's just influenced a lot of things. And I think it really kind of put me on the map too, in terms of, I guess, the weather world and chaser community. Is I feel like that's my storm photos of Leote are fairly recognizable now. And that to me is crazy, because, I always felt like a nobody, honestly, in chasing. And honestly, it was better when I was a nobody. But anyway, in a lot of ways, it was a lot more peaceful back then. But anyway, it was just such an influential storm for me. I mean, Imperial behind me was obviously it was amazing, and probably better structure overall, just massive, way more massive storm, but the overall experience and just the influence that it had on my particular trajectory of my chasing career, for sure, it would have to be Leote.
Okay, now for a fun question.
Okay.
If you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you spend it on?
Okay, well, pay off debt, get a house for me and the kiddo, storm chase for the rest of my life. No brainer. I mean, obviously, no, there's causes I want to donate to and things.
No, be selfish. Don't be.
I'm philanthropic. Okay, I like to pay it forward. I like to help, because so many people have helped me along my path. I do think it's important to to help other folks, and organizations like Storm Assist that give back to communities that have been impacted by storms. I think that's important. I think stuff like that's super important. So if I had unlimited resources, I would take care of me first and my kid. That's important. I've never really had full stability for myself and my daughter as a single mom. That would be absolutely number one. Make sure she's set for life and that we're taken care of. And then I would just I would really want to just help people. That's just how my dad raised me. That's how my family raised me. I was raised to be a helper and an advocate. So that's what I would want to do. And then, of course, I would want to storm chase forever and not have that limitation.
Perfect.
So what would your storm chase vehicle be? If you had ultimate resources, what would it be?
Oh, geez. I mean, it'd be cool to have something like the Dominator, where you can just 0-meter tornadoes like nobody's business. But I don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's really me so much. I would want to.
$1 million. Any vehicle.
Got to put me on the spot like this.
An Apache helicopter.
Oh, there you go. I wasn't even thinking anything airport. All right. Well, Curtis is going to take this question.
We don't need roads where we're going.
Yeah,
That's
you need a fleet of vehicles. You've got your helicopter, you've got a
Yeah.
boat, right? So you can
Yeah.
catch all those water spouts in Florida.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. I love it. I'm here for it. I like the helicopter. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What songs would we find on your Storm Chase playlist?
Oh God, quite the variety from like the heaviest death metal out there to like, like kind of girly, lovey-dovey music. If I'm in like that kind of mood, like it just like I have the Twister soundtrack. There's some songs on there that are like classic go-tos, and there's a lot, but I also like a lot of silence sometimes too, which might seem weird, but like something about the silence and the just the sound of the road and the just the quiet for me like is therapeutic because of how chaotic my life is just on a normal day-to-day basis. Like I like the quiet too, so I can really go full board with like I have different like playlists for my mood. Like if I'm in my energetic mood, like I've got the heavy metal, and then like I could even listen to classical music. It just like I could listen to just about anything as long as it's not country. So, if you play country in my car, I'm going to kick you out the vehicle. But other than that, we're good with pretty much anything.
That's awesome. So what, so you've got a lot of storm chasing gear, right? So what is your favorite piece of equipment? I think I know.
You probably know the answer to that. I mean, my new baby, my Nikon D850 is my new baby, but I like my trusty D810 that I had for 7 years is responsible for all those shots in my portfolio before 2021. So, or even actually through most of 2021 I still had it. So I mean, I'm a Nikon girl through and through, but I also got a drone, so I'm excited to test that out and
fly it right into the middle of a tornado.
Dude, I see people's footage like Brandon and Brian Infinger and like some of these crazy like drone flying machines, and I'm just like, okay, that would be badass, but also like I would for sure crash my drone. And I am not someone that has like unlimited resources where I can just replace drones when I crash them. Like I have the one and that's it. So I gotta be more careful. Plus I'm not that confident flying it yet. Like my very first time attempting to fly it, I accidentally landed it on my neighbor's house. So so there's that.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, so there's still some learning there, but those are pretty much it.
If you can be remembered for one thing, what would you want it to be for?
Advocating for others.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, look at you go.
Yeah, it's probably not what you were expecting, huh?
Not even a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really important, just advocating for people. But second to that would for sure, I would hope people would remember my storm photography. That's the mark that I want to leave on the world is I really want to inspire people to look at storms with more admiration and appreciation and not so much fear and trepidation. I mean, storms do cause damage, but they're also very rejuvenating and beautiful forces of nature. It's our atmosphere seeking stability, right? It's so much happening. It's so much energy in the atmosphere, and it's so beautiful when you experience it. And it's hard to really fully capture it obviously in a still photo, but I try to really edit my images in a way that you can feel how I was feeling when I captured the photos. And hopefully that translates through the work that I do show, because it's just pure wonder and admiration and awe and just completely transfixed with the beauty of storms. And I hope that, I think that, if I can just inspire more people to admire the skies above them, then I will consider that mission accomplished kind of thing.
Absolutely. And your images definitely inspire. Even those who aren't afraid of them. So what is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out as a storm chaser?
Well, similar with NFTs, I would just say, just really research, become familiar with the meteorology and read all the books from Tim Vasquez. I mean, that's just like a must. Okay, like just buy them all. That's literally what I did. I bought them all, and there's so many others out there, obviously, like beyond just that. But there's just a wealth of information at your fingertips. If you're a book reader, I have like bookshelves full of only meteorology books, and I've read every single one of them. And I buy textbooks for fun. Okay, like even when I'm not in college, that because I literally just can't get enough knowledge. I cannot like possibly learn enough. There's always more, and I think that the more that you take that thirst for knowledge and just run with it, then like you'll just learn so much and grow so much as a storm chaser. And again, similarly, I think you should also like really look for the positive people in the community that are really just like uplifting and like constantly just like put out good energy, and try to connect with people that are like experienced, and maybe like even like some folks start off with chasing tours. Make sure you research the reputable ones and any sort of accident history. Make sure you're chasing with safe tours and things like that. That's one way to start. There's no shame in that at all. You can always team up with other more experienced storm chasers as well if you feel comfortable with them. Hey, look at that. Hey.
Nice plug, Jordan.
Nice plug. I love it. I'm here for it. Oh my
For
God.
those of you listening to the podcast, Jordan just flashed up the www.vorticitystormtours.com.
I love it. Well, so for that reason, I won't talk about my tours. I'll just keep it separate. But I don't want to like no competing information here. But just like look for the people that you aspire to be like, and just learn from them. That's all I can really suggest is just learn, and just start by doing, and don't don't take unnecessary risks. And you still got to just like chase safely, chase smart. Like don't put yourself in positions that you're not comfortable with. Make sure you're situationally aware. Like learn how to be situationally aware. Watch all of like Skip Talbot's videos on his YouTube. He does a lot of things with going over storm feature identification and what to look for. There's a lot of really valuable things there. So many educational resources out there. Even on the MedEd, the MedEd dot whatever website, there's like tons of like even just like literally free classes that you can learn. Like I went through so much of their coursework for just different things. That's how I first learned about how to read a hodograph and skew T-chart and all these things. There's so much out there. So just study it all and learn from people, and never have too much pride to learn and ask questions, and then you'll do well.
Absolutely. And I think I'm going to plug, since we're both wearing the T-shirts, is the
Yes.
Girls Who Chase. They've got the Patreon as well, and I know there's an education program there. So something else to add.
Cool.
So wanted to ask you, what year to date has been your most successful and why?
What chase year? Oh gosh. I think honestly it would have to be either 2017 or 2019. I seem to have like my best years are like odd numbered years. So like 2019, 2017, also 2021 was very successful for me. So like I'm an every other year person apparently. So hopefully that doesn't mean this year's going to suck, but like maybe I can like break that trend. That would be nice. But
I hope so.
I hope so too. The 2019, I got the McCook, Nebraska tornado, which, there's several tornadoes that day that were epic. And then, I had the Hollis, Oklahoma supercell structure on April 3rd. And then, then Imperial, obviously, in May. So there was just a lot of, that year delivered everything. Gorgeous tornadoes, incredible structure, big ass hail. I got some big hail, sorry. So it was great. But honestly, like, seems like every odd numbered year I have a good year. So 2016 was a good year for me too, though. That was my good even numbered year. So that's when I got Leote and some others. So hey,
there Jordan got it up there.
nice. But yeah, so like, yeah, it's hard to pick because they're all good for different reasons. But we'll definitely cut out 2020 and 2018 and 2014. Those are terrible. So yeah.
Well, this is the last question.
Okay.
What is one question that you wish we would have asked, but we didn't? And what is your answer?
Oh God, I don't know. What is one question I wish you'd ask?
That's like our really smooth way of copping out. We have 20 questions, and we just give you this last one as
You're
to
just
round it
gonna
out.
put me on the spot like that. That's
100%.
so rude. Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of really great ground and a lot of really great questions. I feel like I could talk storms for hours. So I mean, I don't want to bore you with more storm stories, but it's I've had a lot of crazy, like, close calls and near death experiences and like, lots of lessons learned from those. So I could potentially talk about a few of those if you wanted to hear any of those. but like the biggest thing is like just safety is so important with chasing, and you cannot emphasize enough how important it is to drive safely when chasing. And I know some of us drift over the speed limit every now and then, and it's not intentional. Like, we can always rein that in, but like there's a difference between that and like intentionally recklessly driving and doing things like blowing through stop signs and like recklessly, like dangerously speeding, like scary things that I've seen even just in recent days of chasers doing.
We're all thinking of the same incident.
And it's really unfortunate to see like certain behavior just being celebrated and not changing. And we just have to remember that, like, first of all, no storm is worth your life or somebody else's life. I really don't want to lose any more storm chaser friends. Like, I don't want to see that become a trend. Like, I want us to have more cognizance for, not just the rules of the road, but for our surroundings and our position relative to the storm. Make smart choices. Don't put yourself in positions where your life's in danger. Like, it's just not worth it, man. Like, it's not worth it. And I know that not every situation is avoidable. Like, one of the biggest hazards, honestly, is hydroplaning for me. Like, I've had some seriously terrifying hydroplaning incidences on 3 separate occasions, and one of which, like, I had no idea there was even a wet patch of road up ahead. It was just, and I was going the normal speed limit. I was not speeding, and I ended up like literally spinning in the middle of what is that highway? 87 in New Mexico. It was terrifying. I'm like spinning out in the middle of the highway. It was just so scary. And then another time I was a passenger, and I had told this driver a couple times that he needed to slow down, and he was messing with his phone and just distracted. And we'd already kind of like hydroplaned a little bit once, and unfortunately, he didn't listen, and we hydroplaned really badly into a median and just smashed the hell out of the median and our truck that we were in at the time, and it hit my side where I was at, so it destroyed. I had like a laptop on the dash. It destroyed my laptop, shattered the windshield. It just destroyed the truck. And I've had enough of those kinds of experiences. Like, there's so much danger already inherently around chasing storms with the driving aspect. We don't need to be adding to it by driving recklessly, right? Like there's absolutely zero excuse for intentionally running stop signs. If you happen to not see a stop sign because maybe it was like covered by some bushes or something like that, but you're going like at a slow speed, okay, like I could maybe like pass that one off. Okay, I kind of forgive that as long as you didn't hit anybody. But if you're intentionally running stop signs and intentionally recklessly speeding, you got to just stop. Like, we're all out there chasing storms, and we're also an example to other people, like younger chasers that are coming into this scene that are watching us. They're watching our behavior, and if they see this kind of thing being accepted, they're going to start to do it too, and it's going to become a bad problem. So I guess you didn't really ask me my advice, but that's my unsolicited advice to new chasers too, is also just drive, please, for the love of God, like, drive safely. Like, your storm, your ego, your footage, your photos, like, none of that matters at the end of the day. Just chase safely.
Yeah, none of it matters if you don't show up alive.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like in specific to that incident, like, it was in the video, and I think it was intentionally in the video. It, didn't need to be in the video. Like, if you looked at the rest of it, there was some good footage in there that didn't need to be in there. And I think advertising that, it called it out, right? And I think that, honestly, I think that was done intentionally.
Well, he got what he wanted, right?
Yeah,
he got attention, and he did off that stuff. So,
well, we're talking about it, so it worked.
Yeah.
Yes, but unfortunately, it does show that it's, it can be done, and it brings the attention, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, we have to come back to, this is not behavior to be celebrated. This is the exact, this is the behavior to call out. Like, I don't like being the storm chaser police. Like, I've done it. I don't want to. Like, no one wants to be that person. But if we don't, more people are going to freaking die. And I'm like, not in the mood for that. I don't think any of us wants to see any more death, like, or anything like that. Like
well, it's not even going to be another storm chaser. It's going to be a chaser who hits, a kid crossing the road, or, something like that. It's going to
something
be
awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that people need to be aware of and be responsible about, accountable. Yeah.
I agree. And that's exactly it. And, so I just want to just encourage everyone, just like, when you see this kind of behavior, like, just know this is not the norm for most of us chasers. Like, most of us chasers really do care about, like, not being reckless and endangering ourselves or other people. Like, most of us are just out there to see the beauty of storms and the beauty of nature, and, like, call in reports to the National Weather Service so we can help expedite the warning process, right? These are all important things. Like, we don't want to be contributing to the, to the hazards already present with the storm, right? Like, let's just be decent human beings about it. And then we can all just be happy and go home and chase the next day, and like, everything's fine, right?
I mean, I drive a minivan, so I know I'm not contributing to the speeding.
Yeah, minivan. I love it. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. The unanswered question that had to be answered.
Right? Absolutely. Oh,
that's awesome. I had to throw that in there.
That's good. That's perfect.
Good.
Hey, look, Jordan's on the ball with his sound effects.
You know it.
Oh, my God.
So now it's time for trivia. And we kind of gave you a little hint to what it was earlier. But tonight's trivia is American commercial slogans.
Okay.
So everything will be, we'll read the slogan out, and then we'll give you 4 options, multiple choice options of what it could be. And it's up to you to guess which one it is.
Okay.
So the first one is, I can't believe I ate the whole thing. And was it Alka-Seltzer, Tums, Rolaids, or Pepsi AC?
Well, let's go with Rolaids. What's funny is I almost said that one first. I second guessed myself.
And this is where my streak of losing started right here. Was this first one.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one.
Okay. This next one is my favorite one. Let's go places. Is it Toyota, Volkswagen, Mazda, or Audi?
Toyota.
She just completely gave it away, Shannon.
I already knew the answer to it immediately.
Well, this one's fitting for today. Strong enough for a man, but made for a woman. Degree, Dove, Secret, or Almay?
Degree.
Oh. Come on! That is the one I actually got.
I know this one.
I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed.
Is there anybody in the audience that guessed it?
Tricks. Sorry. I'm excited.
So we are an audio podcast.
Sorry, I got excited. Like, oh, I know this one.
So
what does it mean? Silly rabbit, blank are for kids.
True.
But you already guessed it.
Oh my God.
The answer is tricks.
It's good stuff.
So this fast food joint has a slogan: "Have it your way." Is it Hardee's, Wendy's, Burger King, or Five Guys?
Burger King.
Oh,
Hey.
I didn't know that one. I've never specialized my Burger King order.
You can have it your way at Burger King.
Apparently.
Hey.
Number 6. Bet you can't eat just one. Is it Wise, Pringles, Lay's, or Ruffles?
I'm going to go with Pringles.
That's what I thought originally too, before I knew the answer.
It seems like it should be Pringles because for me, I couldn't just eat one. So
Right?
that seemed like the one.
That one reminds me, they used to have the ad of the two Eskimos sitting up in the middle of the tundra, and the one guy was eating his Lay's potato chips, and his buddy asked if he could have one. He said, well, if I gave you one, I'd have to share with everyone. And they showed the barren landscape. That's what I remember from that one.
Oh my god, that's incredible. Yes.
Oh, my bad.
Whoa.
See, I got it right. So number 7 is so easy a caveman can do it. Is that State Farm, Progressive, Farmers, or Geico?
I'm gonna go with State Farm. Oh my god. Say what? Okay, that's fine. It's fine. I'm not
It's
mad at
fine.
that.
It's all
It's
good.
fine. It's fine.
So for
Okay,
those
ready for the next
listening,
one?
the answer to that one was Geico.
Oh, sorry. I was reading the comments.
Like, where was that voice coming from?
Geico.
Garrett got it.
Okay, next one up. Blank. It's in the game. Minecraft, PlayStation, EA Sports, or Activision.
Why am I blanking on this right now? EA Sports.
Yes, good job.
Hey.
And my
I've never-
personal... oh, from every sports game that ever came out on the PlayStation, the original, was EA Sports. It's in the game.
It's in the game.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
So my favorite one of this entire trivia challenge is Because I'm Worth It. Is that Revlon, L'Oreal, Maybelline, or Estee Lauder?
Okay, you're getting
Finger
excited with the noises again. Because
Finger
I'm
twitched.
worth it. Which one makes me feel like I'm worth it?
Wait, Curtis, you have to say it like you mean it.
Because I'm worth it.
There it is.
There we go. I'd do the hair flip, but I don't have hair, so.
L'Oreal.
Yes.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't do too bad.
And the last one. You're doing awesome. Obey your thirst. Is it milk, 7-Up, Sprite, or Gatorade?
Gatorade. What?
I guess it
Sprite?
Yes.
No way.
I think it's a lie. I don't
That's
believe
a
it.
lie. I don't believe it either. I want my money back.
So I didn't keep score, but I think you did pretty well.
Yeah. Not too bad. Not too bad.
So Jess, where can people find you on social media?
Okay. Twitter is at DopplerJess. Hey, there it is. And Instagram is jessicamore.photographer. Facebook is just Jessica Moore Storm Chaser. I don't know why I couldn't just pick the same username for every profile. Apparently I just had to like mix it up. But yeah, I mean those are basically the three most that I use, and then my website is just jessicamphotographer.com.
Awesome. And you can follow the PDS podcast on our social at the PDS podcast. You can follow Jordan on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Manitoba Storm Chasers. You can follow me at 706 Photos everywhere, which I changed after we started the podcast because I had the same problem you had, where I had 7 different ways to name myself.
Oh my goodness. So funny.
And Shannon, where can we follow you?
I'm Shan Bill everywhere, except my website, which is signatureexposures.com.
Nice.
Excellent. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this, please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. And if your player allows you, leave us a review. It helps us get found by the search engines.
And become a supporter on Facebook for a chance to win exclusive merch and prizes. Don't forget to head over to mbstorm.redbubble.com for your Storm Chase apparel needs. Make sure you tune in, for episode 12 live on March 22nd with special guests Greg Kopp and David Sills of NTP. Thanks again, Jess, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It was a blast. I appreciate it.
Take care.